Hello everyone, today we want to talk about is Malaysia one of the safest countries from Geohazard?
Let's take off in 3, 2, 1. Before we take off, please keep these in mind. Malaysia is home to beautiful coastline, tropical islands and coral reef that are scorched by the sun. Also, humid rainforest in Borneo and on the mainland are full of rare wildlife, while the highland are always a cooling retreat from the heat.
We are going to explore about physical geography of Malaysia. Malaysia's geography is the physical geography and humanities of Malaysia, a Southeast Asian country consisting of two large lands separated by water, Peninsula Malaysia in the west and Eastern Malaysia in the east, and many small islands surrounding these lands. It covers both geography. Peninsular Malaysia is located on the southernmost tip of the Malay Peninsula, south of Thailand, north of Singapore and east of Sumatra, Indonesia. East Malaysia covers most of the northern part of Borneo, bordering Brunei to the north and Borneo to Indonesia to the south. There is some example of geohazard, that is, tsunami, flood, landslide, earthquake, and volcano.
First, we will talk about tsunami. Tsunami refers to a series of waves with extremely long wavelength that grow in height and velocity as they enter the port or near coastal areas where the depth is relatively shallow. Tsunami occurs when there are sudden movements or disturbance on the seabed causing massive displacement of seawater, commonly caused by earthquake.
Malaysia was affected by the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami on the 26th of December 2004. The country's worst affected areas were the northern coastal areas and outlying islands like Penang and Langkawi. The number of deaths currently stands at 67, with 52 in Penang, 12 in Kedah, 2 in Perak, and 1 in Selangor. The cause is the earth beneath the Indian Ocean moved, causing a massive earthquake and subsequently devastating tsunami events. There is an ecosystem that helps reduce the damage of tsunamis and also can prevent it. It is mangrove ecosystem. Malaysia has mangrove forests along the coast to protect against tsunamis. Mangrove conservation efforts are needed to ensure the protection of the coastal areas of Malaysia.
After exploring about tsunami in Malaysia, do you think Malaysia is still the safest country?
Next we will talk about flood. Floods are the second most widespread natural disaster on Earth, after forest fires. Floods occur when water overflows or wets land that is normally dry. There are some places on Earth where people don't have to worry about floods. Generally, floods take hours or even days to develop, giving residents time to prepare or evacuate. Sometimes, floods develop quickly and with little warning.
There is some factor that causes flood. A river or streams overflow its banks. This flood is called a river flood. Heavy rains, broken dams or cliffs, rapid melting of ice in the mountains, or even beaver dams in exposed areas can submerge a river and send it spreading to nearby land. The land surrounding the river is called the floodplain. Coastal floods, also called estuarine floods, occur when large storms or tsunamis cause the sea to rough inland. Rain that accompanies hurricanes and cyclones can quickly flood coastal areas.
There is some example of the flood that happened before. That is in Kelantan. Major floods occurred for 10 days starting December 26, 1926. Other example is in Pahang and also Perak.
There is some prevention suggestion for flood, that is, dams, flood wall, also levees and embankments.
Let's explore the next geohazard that happened in Malaysia.
Next geohazard is landslide. Landslide is the flow of rock, soil, or debris down a steeply sloping portion of land. Landslides are a sort of mass wasting, which refers to any downward movement of soil and rock caused by gravity. Falls, topples, slides, spreads, and flows are the 5 types of slope movement covered by the phrase landslide.
The factor of landslide is, varied strata of the earth or rock may have different strengths and stiffness, or the earth or rock may be weak or cracked. Landslides are more likely on hillsides that have lost their flora due to fire or drought. Without the root systems of trees, bushes, and other plants to hold the soil in place, the land is more prone to slide away. Some activities that might assist destabilize or weaken a slope include irrigation, deforestation, excavation, and water leakage.
There are approximately 28 large landslides were reported in Malaysia between 1993 and 2011, resulting in the deaths of over 100 people. On March 10, 2022, severe rain produced a landslide in a residential area on the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, killing at least 4 people in Ampang Jaya, Hulu Langat District, Eastern Selangor State. On the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur Federal Territory, a section of a hillside tumbled upon residences and automobiles.
There is some suggestion for prevention, that is, government must take steps to combat the widespread unlawful logging. Construction restrictions in high-risk locations should be applied. In steep places, afforestation projects should be implemented, and terrace farming should be practiced.
Let's continue with geohazard that does not occur in Malaysia.
The first geohazard is earthquake. Earthquake is a term used to describe both sudden slip on a fault and the resulting ground shaking and radiated seismic energy caused by the slip, or by volcanic or magmatic activity, or other sudden stress changes in the earth. Malaysia sits comfortably at the bottom of the Eurasian plate, surrounded on all sides by Indonesia and the Philippines. This means that if there are any earthquakes, Indonesia usually absorbs them all. Earthquakes are caused by a sudden release of stress along faults in the Earth's crust. The continuous motion of tectonic plates causes a steady buildup of pressure in the rock strata on both sides of a fault until the stress is sufficiently great that it is released in a sudden, jerky movement. The resulting waves of seismic energy propagate through the ground and over its surface, causing the shaking we perceive as earthquakes.
Do earthquakes ever happen in Malaysia? Yes, the recent one is on the 5th of June 2015 in Sabah, which is a magnitude 6.0 that struck the district of Ranau and nearby near Mount Kinabalu. The tremors can be felt throughout the west coast and the interior of Sabah. 18 people lost their lives. They were climbing the mountain at that time. The 2015 Sabah earthquake was the most fatal geophysical-related disaster ever recorded in Malaysia, with high economic losses, and triggered many cascading geohazards.
Next is volcano. A volcano is an opening in the Earth's crust through which lava, volcanic ash, and gases escape. Volcanic eruptions are partly driven by pressure from dissolved gas, much as escaping gases force the cork out of a bottle of champagne. And if a volcano erupts, Malaysia should not be worried, because Malaysia does not have any volcanoes, and it is most likely happening in Indonesia.
The factor that causes volcano is increased volcanic earthquakes, tectonic movement of the Earth's layer, existence of mountain body deformation events, very high pressure.
Why is there no volcano in Malaysia? Malaysia does have volcanoes, but almost all of them are extinct. Scattered throughout the peninsula, Sabah and Sarawak, are various volcanic formations, all of which have become extinct. Fortunately, Malaysia is not among the countries that are included in the Ring of Fire, as it is barely situated just outside of the belt. Regardless, it does not spare Malaysia from the tremors that it felt from the earthquakes and volcanoes. Even though Malaysia is largely spared from natural disasters, such as earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, since it is located outside the Pacific Rim of Fire, it can encounter severe flooding and landslides throughout the heavy rains in Malaysia. So since majority of the western half of Malaysia are easily affected by flooding, which ranks as one of the top deciles of hazard there, Malaysia is not listed as one of the safest country in the world.
This is some reference we used to complete this video.